All right, everybody, welcome to the regular council meeting. Here we are for the town of St. Andrews on Monday, September 23rd. Summer has flown by. This is happening live at the W.C. O'Neill Arena complex in the council chambers, and also going to be streamed through Zoom and Facebook. If anyone has any questions pertaining to tonight's agenda, please email enopper@townofstanders.ca, and we'll be sure to address those questions at the end of the meeting. All right, let's jump right into the recording of attendance. I note that two councillors are not here, Councillor Hurdle and Councillor Gumashel. I do see that Councillor Neal was with us virtually. I don't know if there's just the view right now. He's still there. Okay, perfect. And Councillor Blanchard as well. So we do have quorum. I'll be looking. Yep, Councillor Gumashel has joined us. So we'll just pretend I didn't say that. Thank you. Let's see the smile, big dentist smile. No. Okay. So I do want to recognize that we're in the unceded traditional territory of the Peskotomuhkati people. I'll be looking for a mover to for the agenda for this evening. Can I have someone move to approve the agenda? I have Councillor Bennett, seconded by Councillor Heenan. I do want, before you vote on it, just a friendly amendment, just out of respect for time for a planner. Let's hit the planning files first, if you don't mind. But it is advertised, so I'd call it a friendly change. So, any other changes to the agenda for this evening? Okay. All in favor of approving the agenda, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? That is everybody. The agenda has been approved. Disclosure of conflict of interest, any this evening? I do have one. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I will be declaring a conflict to the bylaw 24-02, which is the first one under finance administration. So I'll look for Deputy Mayor to lead at that particular time. And Deputy Mayor, I see you raised your hand as well for one. Thank you. And we'll do a high five when you go by and I come back in then. So, all right. Anyone else? All right. Before we get into the presentations for this evening, I did want to put a statement out to the public for immediate release. It is dated today, and it states that the council and staff of the town of St. Andrews regret to announce that the construction of the refurbishment of the approach to the St. Andrews Market Wharf and the Market Square seawall upgrades will be postponed until October of 2025. Both council and staff worked diligently towards getting it completed this winter. However, in verbal presentations given by our engineer consultants, the possible delay as a result of environmental concerns by the Department of Fisheries and Oceans was undersold and only represented a best case scenario timeline. As we approached the final design, DFO expressed issues on the current design that would have required significant and costly mitigation. To minimize the risk of going into the 2025 tourist season, we have elected to delay the project for a year. While we are extremely frustrated regarding this delay, we have engaged with our funding partners and are pleased to confirm that all parties are in agreement with the rescheduling of the project for 2025. In the interim, the town of St. Andrews will be proud to deliver the revitalized Market Wharf project in the 2025-26 season with minimal impact on its residents and the tourist season. And anyone that has any would like to reach out about anything regarding that, please reach out to Town Hall directly, and either myself or Mr. Spear will get back. Again, not what we were hoping for, but in the best interest of making sure that are basically a lot of people that depend on that ocean for their livelihood, especially in the summertime, are the least impacted by that. So I did want to get that out there, and we will put a statement out on our website and social media now that we've done that in the council chambers. Also, before I get in, I just wanted to recognize on a more positive note that Gabe Smith is making his NHL debut tonight in a preseason game. So that's pretty significant when a New Brunswicker makes it to professional athlete status, and he certainly is doing that, playing in a preseason hockey game tonight in the NHL. So congratulations to Gabe and family and friends. All right. We're going to jump right into presentations. The first one is from Dillon Consulting Limited. It's Jake Taylor, and attached in your council package, council, you'll see the greenhouse gas reduction pathway feasibility study. Jake is joining us online this evening, and we'll give Mr. Nopper just a second to get him on. Welcome, Jake. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you very much. Can everyone hear me?
Yep, we can
Looks
hear
like
you.
not.
Share screen's available if you want.
Awesome. Thanks, Paul. Thanks, everyone, for the invitation. I guess for those who don't know me, my name is Jake Taylor. I'm with Dillon Consulting. It's been a pleasure to be part of this project. I've helped manage the project and do some behind the scenes coordinating, and worked with our subject matter expert, Livio, who is also on the call if Livio wants to give a quick introduction. I'm based in Fredericton, New Brunswick, so pretty handy to the St. Andrews.
Hi, sorry. Good evening, everyone. My name is Livio Aquilo. My voice is in and out a little bit on the same topic of hockey. I was coaching team this weekend at the tournament, and as a result, lost a little bit of my voice. But
They may
I'll
not.
be.
They must not have been playing well, eh?
It was a difficult tournament. But in for all seriousness, it was a great opportunity to work with your team at St. Andrews to first visit and analyze and assess all the buildings and understand them, and then to help build the plan that's in front of you. So I'll be here just to help with some of the details once Jake's gone through the overall plan.
Yeah, thanks, Livio. I will share my screen. Okay, so this is just a quick summary of our the outline of the study that we completed. I'll just go through. Here's an agenda. I know we only have 10 minutes, probably 9 minutes or 8 minutes now, Paul, so feel free to cut me off whenever we're overdue for time. I'll give a quick overview of the facilities that we looked at, the study and the summary of what we did, and then closing remarks. I know Paul mentioned that you should all have maybe a simplified version or a copy of some of the front end report that we submitted for your review. If you have any questions, I think there's some time at the end where we can address them, and we'll do our best to get those sorted out. This study was done in alignment with the Federation of Canadian Municipalities study or funding opportunity, as you may or may not know, and it's outlined in 7 steps, which you can see on the screen here. We did this starting in March with the draft report. It says final report, but a draft report pretty much submitted last week. Draft final, you can call it. Site investigations were done in March at all the facilities. It originally started with 5 facilities, and then we expanded it to 10 to really capture the majority of the facilities that the town of St. Andrews owns and operates. Followed by the site investigations, we did some energy modeling on all the facilities. We individually looked at them, and at the end, in step 5 and 6, we really looked at what we could look at as a whole and bunching them together as a portfolio of buildings. After we did the modeling, we kind of presented our summary and findings with Councillor Paul and Chris Spear, the CAO Chris Spear. We reviewed what we found and then went from there to start packaging together some of the stacking of some of the measures, just to make sure we were in alignment with what the town had, and make sure any of our findings, any of them need clarity. We got some feedback and everything we presented. We went through in July and over the month of August as well. We did this reduction scenario and package analysis of all the facilities based on energy conservation measures, renewal measures, water conservation measures, and stacked them to achieve the outline of pathways set forth by the FCM funding requirements. We had another workshop with the town just to confirm that, and you'll see as part of this quick summary report, we'll outline kind of what we found and where to go to next. And this just quick timeline. So I'll quickly go through some of the, in no particular order, but really I think these first 3 were the biggest contributors. This is all found, this is all appended to this report, but for the arena, you can see the summary of kind of the consumption of where all the energy is going. And this is similar for all the facilities, and I'm going to skim through them just in the interest of time, but we outlined some of the recommended measures for all these. This was we've cleaned up some of the numbers, but this is some of the recommended measures for the arena that we've since included and selected based on which would accommodate the pathways identified by FCM as previously mentioned. The wastewater treatment plant was one that we found, and Levio can speak on a few, and I'll just skim through all of them as we go, because I want to capture some of the bigger ticket items that we found that really can, if addressed, will contribute to the town's overall goals and needs. Water treatment plant was assessed, library, town hall, public works garage. Again, all this information will be and is available in the appendices of your the report in front of you. The fire hall, again, we looked at not only how it was the energy was consumed, but recommended conservation measures, water conservation measures, as previously noted. As part of our assessment and analysis, it'll come to the end here. We did a life cycle cost analysis to figure out what the payback was based on some parameters as noted in our report. The Youth Activity Center, Ross Museum, which was fun. And I think Livia maybe touched to this, but there was maybe some certain limitations we could do based on the fact that it was a museum and humidity was fixed for this facility. The courthouse, and then this is going to be very detailed, but again, it just summarizes some of the three pathways that we looked at. As part of a minimum performance pathway, we need to look at 50% reduction in 10 years. And as you can see here, and I'll zoom in, it's not the greatest, but again, this is all in the report with you. This is summarizing every single measure that contributes to that goal and the approximate costs. And then on this table, you'll see all the savings, the payback, and return on investment. And this is all buttoned up into a nice graph that shows you kind of what you have to spend at the beginning and what your cash flow looks like to achieve that pathway. The next pathway, I believe, is in the same minimum performance, but it's the 80% reduction in 20 years. So a little more extended timeline. And you can see this is some of the, not some of the measures that we're recommending that stack into getting that achieve that threshold. And that's for this table in front of you is for all facilities that we explored. It's not just for one. We looked at them individually, but then we compiled into one package as previously mentioned. And this is the cash return on this. And then the deep aggressive one is one of the ones that we selected based on FCM suggested requirements, that we could choose a few alternatives, but this is one that we explored to really get to our greenhouse gas reduction target that the town was looking for. Again, as the title would suggest, it's pretty aggressive based on some of the upgrades. As you can see, like an ice plant upgrade would be pretty substantial, as long as some heat pump conversions, but that in general is kind of what that looks like. Livio, I'll pass it to you if you want to touch on some of the main findings from a technical standpoint, if you don't mind, just a few minutes, because I think we might only have a few minutes until question period.
Sure, no problem. So in going through the buildings, what we were able to identify is a lot of common opportunities that existed in just bringing some of the building systems up to the newest technologies. So for instance, domestic hot water now can be done well with heat pumps, and also improving lighting with LED technology. And there was lots of opportunities for control improvement inside of the facilities for temperature control. For the arena itself and the building that you're in, there were many opportunities for heat recovery with the existing ventilation system. We saw the opportunity for reduction in energy use through features used for the ice resurfacing, both the Zamboni and eliminating hot water that's required for the ice resurfacing. In some of the buildings, like the library, we were able to also find comfort improvements that could be complemented with those energy efficiency opportunities. For instance, in the library, systems that had been decommissioned could be exchanged for new heat recovery units that could help with both the comfort inside of the library with more fresh air added, along with energy improvements. And in some of the buildings like Ross Museum, we're able to look at complete switch for utilities in terms of heating and moving from oil to electricity through heat pump technology. So within the buildings that we were able to analyze, there were a lot of different options. And what we tried to do is bring together these pathways that would best represent the different scenarios of energy and greenhouse gas reductions for the municipality, and allows them the flexibility to select the type of goals that they would like to achieve based on the opportunities that exist at the buildings. And so again, all of the technologies presented and all the opportunities presented from the buildings are all measures that would be considered, common practice in the industry right now. There's nothing that we have recommended that would be, let's say, technology that hasn't been proven yet. Thank you.
Thanks, Livio. And I guess, Paul, in the interest of time, we're open to answering some questions now, if that helps.
Yep,
I
sure.
know I skimmed through the presentation pretty quick, but hopefully the council had time to review the report there.
Yeah, so council did receive an electronic copy of the full report, as well as the main summary pages at the beginning of your report. So if you'd like to stop share, we can receive questions from council.
Yeah, council, is there any questions on this presentation? I will have to, if Councilor Blanchard raises his hand, will I be able to see it on this?
Councilor Blanchard has his hand raised.
Okay, perfect. That's
yeah, and not so much a question, just more of a comment, and to say thank you for the report. I think, in my mind, anyways, it's sort of exactly what we were looking for, exactly what I was looking for, especially around budget time where we are right now. This is, to me, a really helpful, informative document, and it sort of allows us a plan. We're not going to be able to do everything probably that we would like to do, perhaps, or that I would like to do in the first year, or even the first 2 or 3 years, but certainly there's an opportunity here to really pick and choose some things. And and just looking through, I mean, there's some relatively small, I would say relatively, but some mid-size investments that we could make, which could have a really significant impact. I think we can sort of pick and choose. I mean, for $145,000 investment into the arena, we could see almost $50,000 in savings in annual costs, right? And that's year-over-year cost, right? So there are some things I think that really make some economic sense. And also, of course, in addition to the greenhouse gas savings, we're doing our part here to try and reach the goals that we've set for ourselves. So I'm really, really happy with the report, and thank you very much. I think it's going to be a great document for us moving forward.
Thank you, Councilor Blanchard. Any other member of council? Councilor Gumashell.
Just one quick question. Also, thank you for the report. One thing that kind of piqued my interest was the mention of reduced lighting. People have heard me complain about some of the superfluous and tacky lights that we have all over town. I'm wondering, like, for example, the high school just got new lighting outside, and I know that's not in this study. They just got new lights all around the high school. Now it's lit up like kind of like a penitentiary all evenings of the year. I'm wondering if motion sensors at a spot like that, or at some of the town facilities which already have cameras, if motion sensors would represent significant savings in energy. This is a general question. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you.
So, yeah, in general, once you've moved to LED technology, a lot of the opportunities for energy savings through controls of lighting get mitigated significantly. LED lighting already consumes, relatively a small amount of electricity. What we found in scenarios where there's excessive lighting, especially outdoor lighting, the control measures are mainly put there in place for comfort in terms of neighbors and things like that. In terms of energy opportunities of savings, they're probably not significant, but there are other benefits that can come from utilizing those controls.
So just if I could add, so for example, it used to be once you turn the lights on, if you turn them off and turn them back on, you're actually using more energy, but with the LEDs, that's not the case, if I'm understanding correctly.
Oh, so you mean the action of turning on and off the lights, that peak energy used?
Like in the arena back in the day when they would turn the lights on and turn them off, I think it took more power than just leaving them on was my
Oh, no, that's not the same scenario.
So if we were to move more to motion sensors, there might be some savings as well.
Some savings, yeah, there would be some savings. Just given the technology with LED, we find that those savings are lessened than what were previously expected from using those types of control systems.
Thank you for answering my question.
Yep.
The deer love the high school too, so there'll be the deer just circle that high school all night. Yeah, yeah. Councilor Harland.
Thank you, Mayor Henderson. So this question actually is for Mr. Spear. So I'm assuming Terry Acton, our asset manager, would he have received a copy of this report?
Yes, he had a review before when the final draft.
Okay, and so I'm just wondering in terms of next steps, how we get to the next steps. Councillor Blanchard mentioned that we're entering into budget time, and will Terry be able to provide us with some potential recommendations in terms of areas of priority, or how
In
does?
relation to this report or to?
Yes.
I think the policy that we're going to be adopting is as certain things are being recapitalized or refurbished, that's when these savings will be implemented. And the team from Dillon said that was a normal policy.
Okay.
It's just there's so many needs to be done now type of scenarios that even these things, which will have a 4 or 5 year payback, shouldn't take priority on things that need to be done immediately to save some type of structure.
Okay. So to Councillor Blanchard's point then, although there could be some kind of low hanging fruit, that wouldn't necessarily be the direction that we go in. We would be looking at it as things need to be replaced.
More or less. And for instance, they talked about variable drive pumps or variable frequency pumps, sorry. And one of the things, but we've replaced a lot of our pumps in the last 2 or 3 years. And so to me, it doesn't make sense if
Right.
we've already spent thousands of dollars on pumps to just throw them away for these other items, because then you lose the cost of the original pumps. But
Right.
within a decade, they'll all have to be replaced again.
Okay.
And so that's when we'd look at implementing this technology.
Excellent. That makes sense to me. Thank you.
Absolutely. Just a quick question on kind of if you get into the 50% in 10 years, this is the annual life cycle costing per year. Does that mean that's what, as a council, we should be prepared to invest in order to hit the 50%, just to be clear? Because it's 98,471 is the per year, or is that just?
Yeah, well, that in order to meet that decade, that savings in a decade, you should be doing that every year.
So
But
it's
I guess I go
50,000.
back to my previous examples that, it'd be like trading in your new car for another car and not getting any type of return on the
Yeah, for
old
sure.
car.
But that's just the projected
Yeah.
cost that it will cost over the next 10 years. We're looking at, basically $1 million to probably hit 50% of our target.
Yeah, and there's some things that we did look at that we can do immediately. That's almost a repairs and maintenance type item that'll help improve our efficiency. So for those, it's just the larger ticket items that are kind of related to capitalization that are going to take a little bit more time if council so desires.
Perfect. Any other questions? All right, I will say this document is very good. When we make a statement to reduce our emissions, it's a feels good statement until you actually have a plan. And now council has a plan with staff on how to get there. So thank you very much for attending the meeting and having it. I was worried this one was going to go over. She did a very, very good job. So thank you. And stop screaming at those kids, eh?
Thanks
It was
a lot.
big arena. It was a big
Thanks a lot.
arena.
Big arena, yeah. Mine will be gone in a week. All right. Council, let's move to the next presentation. Pleased to have Lorraine Justason here. She's doing a presentation on a proposed community wheelchair bus rental service in Charlotte County. So
Hi.
welcome.
Good day. I'm probably hearing about it. I'm loud enough. I'm trying to get I want all the support. That's what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for money. I'm looking for all the support from the council and the mayor and all the communities for a community wheelchair accessible bus. That's for everybody. That's for the disabled, the people in wheelchairs, seniors, people that live in rural areas that would like to get out and socialize. That's what it's for. And it's for school teams if they want to use the bus to go play soccer or anything. And sometimes there's children goes to school that's in a wheelchair. Would love to go and watch your friends play. This is what it's being for. And I'm not prejudiced. I've already got a bus driver. I've got a graduate, 2 licensed mechanics. So I'm going ahead. So, and they already know Raymond, and I've been talking to Raymond Funk. He's behind me. And so yeah, I've already got the name of the bus. So, I haven't got the bus, but I will have the bus by the time next year gets here. There will be a bus.
Did you say you have a name?
Yes, I have a name.
What is the name of the bus?
We're running late.
Uh-oh, that's not a good sign.
Yeah, but we're trying to do this. We need it. There's nothing here. And I changed the name from Charlotte County to the regional, because it's from Musquash right through to Campobello Island. And that includes all of it. So I'm not leaving anybody out. So I've been to all the mayors, and I've got one more to go to next Monday over in Campobello, and they all agree with me. We do need this. So if there's any suggestions, or if you guys got questions, go ahead and ask me, and I will answer the best of my knowledge.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much for being here. I did have the opportunity to meet with you. It was probably 3 months ago now.
Yeah,
Could have been?
3 months was when I
Yeah,
first started.
It's a pretty good guess. Yeah, you're very passionate, and so you have some help around you as well to raise money to purchase
Well,
this
yes.
bus. So, council, this is just to make people aware that she is working on this. I will say that although council hasn't really had an opportunity to dive into it, the Regional Service Commission is looking for all the municipalities and this Regional Service Commission to contribute, and they're writing a grant for funds to start some type of bus service. And Raymond Funk would be involved with that. So I guess really for council, we definitely would love to see more transportation solutions in this region. It's just everybody should be rowing together, right? So if the Regional Service Commission is expecting this council, which we still have to discuss it, to get more money to start a bus, it makes sense that they partner with you or you partner with them.
Oh, yes.
And everybody work together then, because it seems like, we've got, rideshare program that's looking for money here, and then we've got to pay the Regional Service Commission. And then there's a bunch of silos right now.
Well, yes, I understand.
And
that.
what would be great is if everybody worked together, because
Well, I have a meeting,
Yep.
excuse me, I have a meeting with Raymond Funk Friday with ECW and Charlotte Derelict. We're going to be discussing what I'm trying to do, because there's nothing here. There's only Charlotte Derelict, and that only takes one wheelchair. This way here, there's more people that can go. This is for groups of people. So yeah, this is what I'm trying to do. I don't want it one-on-one at all.
And-
I want it so, and I even called Mad Canada to help them for friggin' parties where people drinks and stuff. The bus would be used for a designated driver.
That's fantastic. And that would be the second thing is Dial-A-Ride. They do have one that's accessible, but I know that it's not enough for the needs that they have. So they already have operations in place. They have ways in which it's dispatched, because that's the other thing. It's not just getting the bus, it's how do you operate it. I think that Raymond connecting to Dial-A-Ride makes a lot of sense because they're already operating and have a system in place. So to have someone in the community like yourself going, being, all the energy to help make the funds possible and raise money, that is huge for Dial-A-Ride. So hopefully Raymond can be the, I guess you could say, quarterback for you that can help get you and connect you to other people. So the next Regional Service Commission meeting, I will be asking Hollis Bartlett where that stands with you. And
Well,
then,
yes.
because this council, we have funded some transportation options, but we will have to debate it, but we're expected to pay more towards transportation this year. And it makes sense for either Dial-A-Ride or the Regional Service Commission to work with you And that
yes.
way it's a reality. So that's fantastic. You've talked to them. Council, do you have any questions? I kind of said, Council Harlan.
Thank you, Lorraine, for coming forward. You're clearly passionate and energized about this issue, and it's wonderful to see community members take on a cause like this. So I really thank you for that. In your report, you did indicate that you were conducting a comprehensive needs assessment.
Yes, I'm gonna check for all communities, see who all needs the bus.
Okay, so that hasn't been done yet.
No, that's part
Okay.
of it for the meeting for the 27th with
Okay,
Raymond. And
okay,
I'm also going to the schools and asking them
okay.
for
good.
so I can have a survey. And then I get everything done, then I'm going in front of all the mayors.
Okay,
That means all of them. And I will argue with them all. Like John Craig says, you better not argue with me because it won't do them any good. But anyway.
I bet you can
I
take John
second-
Craig.
I second the motion to argue with John.
But it would be great if through the mayors, the meeting that you have with the mayors, if we could receive a copy of the needs assessment so that we as a
Well, yes.
council could understand what the actual need is. That would
Yes.
be lovely. Thank you very
Bus
much.
Force had already asked me for a copy and I said, yes, you folks can have a copy too. And I'm starting my own nonprofit organization. I got David Ames working, my lawyer working on to it right now and everything. So if anybody on this council wants to be on my board, you're more than happy. And so I'm going forward. There's no going back. We're having a bus. I already got the bus picked out. I just gotta have
Well,
the
you-
money for
You
it.
got the
So
name.
I got the name, I got the bus, I got a bus driver, I got the garage. So I will have the bus.
Oh, thank you, Lorraine. Is there any other member of council that has any questions? Councilor Heenan.
I'd just like to say it does a heart good to hear someone be so passionate about a cause. Thank you very, very much.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you, Your Worship.
Thank
Any
you.
other member? Last call. Anyone online? Only see Councilor Blanchard right now, but. All right. Well, thank you for being here. So we'll follow up and I will go talk to Hollis Bartlett to make sure that the town of St. Andrews thinks that if you're out there trying to make something possible, that you are another person in the portfolio that can help improve transportation because it is a major gap
Yes,
in this region, as we know. So thank you for taking your leadership and drawing awareness to this cause. And as you can see from councils, we fully support increasing the transportation options in this region. So thank
Yes.
you for being here.
thank you. And I've been doing fundraisings and everything, having suppers and everything. And we've already got a bank account started with some money in there to go towards the bus.
Perfect.
So this is what we're doing. We will have the bus.
Well, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Take care. Safe travels home. All right, council. So we already did the approvals of the previous meeting. So I am going to jump ahead to communications and I wanted to share that dyslexia is a specific learning disability which neurological and in origin. People with dyslexia struggle to read and spell. They have a hard time processing the sounds of letters to make them into words. And just for public awareness, it affects 15 to 20% of the population in some way and it is hereditary. That means 1 in 5 people have it. And if you go to town hall, you will notice that there are a school of fish that Deputy Mayor actually picked up at the last Regional Service Commission. The turquoise fish that is at town hall is for October 8th, which is International Dyslexia Day. The red one is for Market Red and Read October Dyslexia Campaign. The gold is for a little goldfish waiting to shine. And this year, they in October have added a green fish to the story, and green is for hope. So if anyone sees those at Town Hall, that's what it's about. And again, October 8th is International Dyslexia Day. All right, moving right ahead. No, they're not. That's a good question. They're wooden fish. Thank you. I don't know. The mic was on. The question is, are they alive? So if not, we have not been feeding them. All right, so let's go right now to the introduction, consideration, and passing of bylaws and motions. I will put a picture of the fish on social media, so you'll see it. I took one today. We are going to start with planning as we discussed. So we will jump right ahead. And if we don't mind starting with number 3, which is the discussion on Harbour Town Builders, terms and conditions for the proposed development at 236 Mowat Drive, which is on page 74. All right, Mr. Spear, do you want me to pass it over to you or is this going to go to the planners?
I guess you can start with the planners.
Okay. And I can't see, is it Xander or Alex?
Xander's on.
It's yeah.
Hi, Xander. Good
Thank
to
you,
see
Your Worship.
Good to see you.
I don't have a presentation at this point. We've just sort of worked with town staff to kind of synthesize the PAC recommendations and what we've heard from council and the neighbors to put together kind of the conditions that would go with the integrated development zone for this project. So there's things relating to buffering, to the location of the parking area, sort of site plan control to make sure that they're sticking with what they've committed to or have been presenting, different colors for the houses. I think you would have all those matters in front of you. So that's kind of where it is. My understanding of the public hearing went quite well in my absence. So maybe that's the trick is I'll send Alex to all the public hearings from now on.
You did an incredible job. Yes. Okay. Everyone, you see the terms and conditions that are here. So is it safe to say that, since we don't have a diagram with this, is that, it does take into account the concerns of parking by the neighbors? Is that correct?
That is correct, Your Worship. And also we posted these terms and conditions to Harbour Town Builders and they were completely in agreement with them.
Perfect. And in the diagrams we received, it was paved. Is that still the plan for the primary? Just because that's a lot of traffic with the dust?
Yeah.
Perfect. So
Nothing's
council,
changed.
those are my questions. Councillor Heenan.
Yes, Your Worship, at some point, we did mention about the Airbnb being mentioned on this, that they weren't to be an Airbnb, and I'm wondering if this needs to be a point, because I know that was a strong point for a lot of folks. And I just believe that it's the time to put it in if council feels that that's the time to put it in is now.
So let's talk about the zoning. Is this going to be something that would be prohibited based on the zoning that it would be in, or is this something that would be allowed under?
Well, you're
Xander, yeah.
I was gonna say you're kind of creating a special zone. So if there are any land uses you want to prohibit, now would be the time. If we were looking at a service residential zone, Airbnb or short-term rental would be allowed only as a secondary use. So, maybe if you were to allow that, then there would be the opportunity to rent out a room here and there, but not a whole dwelling.
So council, we're increasing the density. I think Councillor Heenan's comment is a good one. I personally believe that it should not be for Airbnb. It's to make, based on the price point we were told, it's to make some affordable units available for people in our community that might not be able to be approved for a higher mortgage. Not for someone to have as investment properties, I think. So council, quick show of hands if you think it should be not for Airbnb. Yeah, that was majority. So I'm pretty good if we add that as a term and condition, if that works that way. Thank you for that, Councillor Heenan. Anyone else? Mr. Spear.
Yeah, just a couple of questions, I guess, Your Worship. I guess going back to what you were saying about this being a special zone, Xander, should we prohibit certain things like business uses, or is that inherently not allowed because it's residential? So for instance, I don't know, if they sold one of the units to a retail outlet, could it set up, I guess?
Well, I think what you would want to do, and we can include this in sort of the draft, is limit the uses to main residential uses and secondary home-based businesses. So kind of like in the town plat in the service residential zone where you can have a home-based business if it's only a certain percentage of the house. It can't be the whole thing. It does allow a little bit of wealth creation for people who are living there. Home-based businesses are a really good economic tool for folks. So my personal recommendation would not to be completely to prohibit anything commercial, but to keep it in line with the service residential zone. So we could take those uses minus the short-term rental and just port them over.
Okay, and this is number two, Your Worship, would be, even though this is a private development, I think it's important that we have drawings of the proposed infrastructure because it is going to be tying into ours eventually. So it's appropriate that town approves that just to make sure it's not going to negatively impact the downstream neighbors, so to speak. And the only other question, we have done this at different times, but I don't know if it's appropriate with this, is we say they have 10 years to finish their project, but there might be the potential where the way it's being built, in my mind, that maybe after 4 or 5 units, they may determine that it's enough or the market, whatever, you know, it's just, are we tying them into the full completion, or if it takes them 20 years to do it, are we going to stop them from building? So I think staff will want to revisit that. Usually we do that to make sure the landscaping is completed, but it's just, I think we want to be able to give them, you know, if time is needed to build it in stages, we might want to look at that. If council's okay with that.
Yeah, I think that 10 years is a fairly long time frame. And the thing about this is if they want it extended, they can come back to the council of the day and the council of the day can decide to extend it, right? Like that, just 10 years is a long time for a project. And just because it's part of the agreement doesn't mean the council of the day wouldn't consider extending it. That's just the way I look at it. I'm not comfortable doing a 20-year agreement or something like that. That's all. 10's on the high side for me, but over to you, council.
Your worship, I find we're giving out too many 10-year timelines. I think 10 years is a long time to drag something on. And especially if you consider that interrupts the neighbors for 10 years. Like it's really not fair to have construction going on for a 10-year time frame. I just think 10 years is way above the level. If we put it at 7 or 8 years, then they can come back to council. But 10 years is a long time. It's just my fault. Thank you.
I know. I'll be in my 30s then. Councilor Harlan.
Thank you, Mayor Henderson. So, I would agree with Mr. Spear, though. My concern is this particular market. So these are for sale homes, price point, you know, they're trying to keep them as affordable as possible, but realistically, the price point is going to be 400, 500,000. What I worry about is, what if our market is a bit saturated at that point, or they're running into some roadblocks in terms of selling them? Is there some way for us to put it, even if we shorten it, can we say that they can come back to council for an extension, but that also there's some expectation that some of the finish work would be done at that time? So, you know, if they build 5 or 6 and they need to pause, or they've run at the end of the timeline allotted, can we say you can extend, but do some completion so it doesn't seem like a work site for 10 years or 8 years or whatever we decide? Is that possible?
Councilor Ware, oh, sorry, do you want to answer that first, or is yours pertaining to that, or is it a different point? I can come to you. Okay. Yeah, so my concern is you do 20 years, a developer can go, and not saying they would do it, they could go work on something for 10 years and come back to it. Like the neighbors around it should know what's happening. So let's look at Compass Housing. There was an agreement made and it came back to us, and then we adjusted it. I think that you just make the agreement in a reasonable time frame, just like we have with everybody else. And then if they won't need an extension, they can come back and ask for an extension. It's not a be all end all, but it's just something to keep them motivated to keep the project moving ahead, because they probably have competing jobs as well, just like all the contractors do, right? So you know, that would be my concern of doing it too long, is it falls up and down. But your point, if it's not selling well in our community and they're still looking to increase and it's approved project, I would dare say the council of the day would be okay as long as they were continuing to push it forward, right? So Mr. Spear. Councilor Ware.
Yeah, I guess my comment is none of us can predict economic conditions over 10 years. We'd be lucky if we could do it over 6 months in today's world. And any company putting up a number of units, I don't think we can tell them they've got to put up 10 units. It's unethical. It's I don't know what the word is. You just can't force somebody to do something because that's their plan. They want to do it. Certainly, it's going to cost them $300,000 a unit, and we can't go to a company, a private enterprise, and say, "Look, you've got to spend this money." You know, they're just not going to do it, and I don't think any court in the land would would back us up if we tried to force them to do it. So we have to be cognizant that these are economic decisions that's being made on a, I would like to think an annual basis, but I think some of them are now being made on every 4 or 5 months. People are looking at their projects and determining if they're still viable and feasible.
Very valid point. I guess the concern is if you have something like landscaping, and it's not just this project, so just to clarify, is you don't want a bunch of basements dug and then it sits there for 20 years, like Sunbury Shores, beside Sunbury Shores and beside the Treadwell Inn, that sat there for 20 years, not completed. So that's why you force them to complete it. So it's not that. So I'm fine if it's 20 years, as long as within a certain reasonable period of time for those neighbors that there's landscaping done and that they're not looking at a construction site for 15 to 20 years, right? That's the reason you do it right there, Mr. Spear.
Yeah, I was going to follow up saying
And
the
it has
same
nothing to do
thing.
with this project.
No, it's just in general.
Yeah.
I think it's hard to compare that to the new Compass Housing, because the Compass Housing is just a huge mega project that it's either not done or done. In this way, it's kind of like our subdivision, which took 20 years to fill, right? As long as you get the infrastructure and clean up the spaces, then it takes them 20 years to develop each lot, especially where they're stick built. I think it's less intrusive than a big mega project that has several workmen going at a time. So maybe we'll look at the phasing to try to make sure the landscaping aligns, for as the people move in. If you don't mind, I guess, and we'll talk with them. They've been very open in dealing with this and see what works best. And if we come up with a phased-in approach that works for everybody, it works well.
Yeah, if you want to bring that back, that's fine with me. Yeah, that's the concern is just, again, you look at beside the Treadwell, that's set half complete. Not that they would do that. I'm just talking in general and make these agreements. We want to make sure that we have the protections in place and bigger development, but let's look up beside the Garcelon Center in St. Stephen. That's been sitting like that. So when we do a development, especially one that has multiple moving parts to it, let's make sure that we protect the neighborhood, right? Like that's why you make sure that you have this where if they only build 4, then maybe they can't start one or they can only start 3 at a time. Whatever the deal is, you put something versus 10, you know what I mean? That's where I'm getting at this. So I think staff can probably get enough advisement there from council to know the spirit of Councillor Hayden. Yeah.
Worship and council. Like Councillor Weir says, we can't force them to build 10 units. I don't think we are forcing anyone to build 10 units. If they build 5 and they find it's unsuccessful or they're not going to build anymore, they can also come to council and say, we're done. I mean, it's not, we're not forcing them necessarily to build 10 units over 10 years. We're just telling, that's what they want is 10 units. That's what their plan is. But if something comes up that they're not selling, they're not going to build 10 units. I mean, hypothetically, they're not. And we're not telling them that they have to build them. That's my understanding. Thank you.
Got 2 more. I've got Councillor Harlan, then we'll go to Councillor Weir.
Thank you. This question's for Xander. Xander, the terms and conditions that you've outlined here, that includes the PAC's recommendations?
Yes, I believe so. They had to do with shifting the parking, and the different colors of the buildings. There was also, I mean, there was a question, I don't think it was exactly a recommendation, but consider different building types, versus the one consistent one. But I think in the end, that was one member of PAC, not necessarily the entire committee.
Okay, fair enough. But there was one about the buffering, both, I thought PAC recommended both.
There would be a condition for landscape buffering, except the site triangle, that's there.
Okay, so that includes both the shrubs and the fencing. That's what you mean by that. Perfect. Okay, it's good. Thank you.
Yes, I wanted back to the comment you made about the home-based business. During COVID, we have everybody working from home. And what has happened as we've come out of it is more people are working from home. And some of them no longer have one employer. They may have 4 or 5 employers. Well, that's a business. That's no longer working from home on one job. You're running a mini consulting or whatever type of business. And I'm just wondering if we have the proper definition in our bylaws and stuff that allow this, that, you know, somebody's got one small bedroom and is running a complete business out of it because it's all online.
As long as the impact on the neighborhood is consistent with the home-based business, so it's not, you know, bringing tons of traffic in, it's not lots of signs, and there are rules for that in the bylaw. It's not so much that a zoning bylaw or land use should be so much concerned with a person's individual economic activity, and you know, a lot of us work from home, some of us tonight. And I think that's sort of considered, you know, if you're on a computer, an office worker, that kind of thing. It's when you have members of the public coming into the home that it starts to it can have more land use impacts. And so that's really what the home-based business definitions are around, is what are the overall land use impacts.
Fairly well defined, and I think it's been working fairly well overall. There's been minimal home-based businesses outside of that that I don't even call file that it kind of fell outside. And there has been times where variances have been granted on signs and things like that. But it's a good point, and it's something when we do the zoning bylaw, we should look at for sure, right? So thank you for that. Third round.
It's a whole new topic. The condominium corporation bylaws will also state a lot of those rules and regulations that come with it, because I was president of a condo board, and there's all of those, like home businesses are not allowed bringing in traffic, like you can't open up a corner store, etc. So the condo corporation has specific rules and regulations. Thanks.
Additional, that's a good point. All right, anyone else? All right, I think staff, you've got enough there. Thank you very much. Let's just go work our way backwards, because I know we have some of the audience here for one of them tonight. Let's go to number 2 under planning, which is the establishment of a mental wellness committee. Jump ahead. We're just going to go backwards just to make it a little more complicated.
Page 69, Council.
And it is Councillor Hartland.
Thank you, Mayor Henderson. So this is PCD 240903. And the subject is establishment of a mental wellness committee of the town of St. Andrews. And the background is as follows. Members of council and residents of the community are seeking to establish a new committee of council known as the Mental Wellness Committee. The Mental Wellness Committee of the town of St. Andrews would provide advice and recommendations to help guide and support positive mental wellness initiatives, protocols, and policies within the municipality. The committee will also support opportunities for increased awareness and education on positive mental wellness. The Mental Wellness Committee will work to champion local actions to address community concerns and pertinent wellness issues. Please see the attached document for a copy of the proposed terms of reference. These have been developed based on policy P17-01 and referenced from other committees of council. Once established, names and term limits will be brought forward to council for appointment. And so the motion is as follows, that the council of the town of St. Andrews establishes a new committee of council under policy P17-01, known as the Mental Wellness Committee. And I so move.
Thank you, seconder, for that. Oh, wow. I'm going to give it to Councillor Bennett. I don't know if he moved on one today. So second by Councillor Bennett. Discussion on this one. Okay. Councillor Harlan.
I would just want to say that as a council member, I am very proud that this council is bringing this forward. I think it's shows tremendous awareness for us as a municipality to be wanting to put mental wellness as a spotlight for us as a community to continue to grow. I have to acknowledge Matthew Dixon, who's in the council chambers tonight, as the person who really spurred us on to take a look at this And as a result of that, we've already had a couple of initiatives. We continue to look at opportunities to increase awareness. Health Canada has a mental health framework, surveillance framework. And one of the indicators in that framework is social inclusion. And that's our connections to the community that we live in. So it could be our family community, it could be the larger community. And the importance of that on people's mental health and mental wellness is absolutely critical. And I am so pleased to see us as a municipality move this forward as a way of us continuing to focus and grow and become the most inclusive, supportive community we can be. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Harlan. Very, very well said. And yeah, to the individuals and the volunteers involved behind it, thank you very much. And as well, I think Councillor Neal as well, and maybe Councillor Hurdle too. The three of you have definitely led this portfolio for the municipality, so thank you. And not to get into things that we're not particularly happy about or proud of the community. We have lost a few people over the last few years in this community, and it's good to see local leadership make it a bigger priority. So thank you for all you do to advocate for that. Councillor Ware.
Yes, I think it's a great initiative and social inclusion, the whole thing. But I think there's another area there that I hope would be included. And I call it transient mental health. A lot of people go through an episode in their life, whether it's death of a family member, or it could loss of a job, or an onset of depression, or whatever. And these people may only suffer from it for 6 months, a year, maybe it's 2 or 3 years. So that they're not, I call it transient. There's probably a better legal term or a medical term for it. But to not forget that group of people. So they come into the group, they come back out, and they like to be low key, and that's fine. But there's a lot of people that it happens to.
Thank you, Councillor Ware, and I don't want to speak for Councillor Harlan, but I am confident that that would be included underneath this as well. So thank you, though, to bring that awareness on that. Anybody else on Councillor? Mr. Spear.
Sorry, Your Worship, I'm going back to more the governmental side of things than the good initiatives, but I would like to make an amendment to the scope under work plan and activities. And we'll probably, as these come through, we'll do that. It's to provide an outline of any future initiatives as they may be considered as part of the budget process. And I think this is all good stuff, but it's really hard mid-year if they come up with a fantastic thing and need several $1,000s worth of funding if it hasn't been built into the budget. So it'd be good just as all of our committees and the Environmental Action Committee already puts requests in every fall, that you try to do as best you can guesstimate of how much funding you need in the future years so it can be brought forward in the fall and worked into our overall plan. Thank you, Your Worship.
Perfect. So do you need that amended? Already done through. Okay, perfect. Okay. No. Perfect. Anyone else? Okay, I'll call the question. All in favor of approving this motion, please signify by saying aye. The committee has been officially formed. Thank you very much, Council. We are again working backwards on this portfolio. I believe it was page 64, was it? When I last checked. Still is 64. Hasn't changed. This is Councillor Heenan.
Thank you, Worship and Council. PCD 240902, update to policy 17-01, policy on advisory committees. Policy 1701, policy on advisory committees, was established in 2017. This provided guidelines for the establishment of committees of council that can be appointed by council for specific purposes. Upon review of the policy, section 7.4 states, No member of council may serve on an advisory committee. A staff member may serve on an advisory committee as a non-voting member and as a liaison to council. With counselors wanting to participate on committees, it is advisable that council updates policy P17-01. It is recommended section 7.4 be updated to read: council members may serve on an advisory committee. There is a maximum allowance of 3 counselors to serve on an advisory committee to ensure quorum of council is established. A staff member may serve on an advisory committee as a non-voting member and as a liaison to council. And the action and motion is that the council of the town of St. Andrews approves the changes to section 7.4 of policy 17-01, policy on advisory committees, to read the following, quote, council members may serve on an advisory committee. There is a maximum allowance of 3 counselors to serve on an advisory committee to ensure no quorum of council is established. A staff member may serve on an advisory committee as a non-voting member and as a liaison to council. I so move this, your worship.
Thank you very much. Seconder? Got Counselor Gumashell, discussion? For to note, quorum would require 5 counselors
Yes.
though, but I think
Yeah.
3 is still more than enough on the committee.
Oh, yeah.
Through you, your worship, in the event council reduces the number of council
Wow,
members.
You're,
that-
you're looking way ahead. Good for you.
Perfect.
Just like the conflict of interest thing being on my desk earlier. You're on it today. All right, council, any other comments on this one? It makes a lot of sense. You don't need the same people at this table being the exact same people at the other table, really what it comes down to. All right, all in favor of approving this, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
That is everybody that has been carried. We will jump back to finance and administration, Deputy Mayor Akergy, and I will recuse myself for the first one.
Thank
Deputy
you.
Mayor, is your microphone on? I haven't heard you all
Oh.
night.
Thank
It
you,
is
worship.
now.
Thank you, your worship. It
I
is-
think it is.
Oh.
Counselor Harlan's doing the first one and you're doing the second one. I depart. So Counselor Harlan.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Akergy. So this is reference number FA 240422, and the subject is bylaw number 24-02, a bylaw respecting the collection and disposal of solid waste, third reading. Staff have developed a new version of the solid waste bylaw for council consideration. This bylaw focuses on waste collection and recycling. It also addresses large developments, i.e. apartments with 10 or more units. Please see the attached document for more details. The bylaw process was as follows: first reading on April 17th, 2024, second reading June 3rd, 2024, and third and final reading today. Staff have made additions and changes to the bylaw. Changes to the bylaw include Section 2.3, move from 3 to 10 or more apartments. Section 2.9, move from 4 to 10 or more units. Section 2.20.1.4, addition of, for those in Bayside and Shamcook, any solid waste container with a closable lid with a height, thank you, no more than 90 centimeters or 3 feet, kept off the road easement and kept in a neat and tidy condition. Section 6.4.2, addition of, for residents serviced by collection bins, waste must be fully put inside, allowing the top to close, as to minimize the animal infestation. If council is satisfied with the bylaw changes, council can move to the third and final reading. The motion is as follows: that the council of the town of St. Andrews grants leave for the third and final reading to bylaw number 24-02, a bylaw respecting the collection and disposal of solid waste in the town of St. Andrews, and I so move.
Thank you, Counselor Harlan. Could I have a seconder, please? Counselor Heenan. Counselor, is there any more discussion on this? Counselor Bennett.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Akergy. If I could just ask staff, to clarify here about the 90 centimeter height, restrictions, I'm assuming what you're referring to here is a fixed bin that never leaves the roadside. Is that what we're referring to?
Yes, Councillor, that's what we're thinking, although I guess I should have measured a normal garbage can, but at the time I was thinking that for the collectors, if it gets too high, it makes it hard on those that have to swing their arms over and try to pull them out. So 3 feet seemed to be about a reasonable height, but it maybe could be a little bit higher.
So the bins that we get, like the blue bin, and I have a gray bin very similar, that I put my garbage in, at the house. They're just a tad under 4 foot. So by making this policy at 90 centimeters, it would prevent me from using one of those bins, including our blue bins, on our roadside. So I would suggest that we change the 90 centimeters to maybe 120 centimeters.
Surely.
Now, I wanted to make the same comment, and I am a little bit vertically challenged, so I know what it's like to put it in. I don't have to take it out, thank God. But those bins are obviously a lot more than 3 feet.
Deputy Mayor.
Sorry, Councillor Bennett.
Thank you, and I appreciate that, Councillor Weir, thank you. Also, when I look in, I'm not seeing that section 2.3, 2.9, or 2.20.1.4 is in our new, is listed here, so they're omitted from.
So it was just a mix up with staff. So section 2.20.1.4 should actually in the background be 2.22.
Okay.
0.14. And 6.4.2 is correct. It's on page 17 of 74 of the thing.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bennett. Any more, Councillor Heenan?
Your worship, do we need an amendment for the?
We do, I think, do we not?
Wouldn't hurt where it's a bylaw.
Okay, so I would amend the height of the bin to be 4 feet.
And I need a seconder, please. Councillor Harland. Okay, so first we do the amendment, or do we do the?
So what you would do now is you have a motion on the table as an amendment. So you would just ask if there's any further questions on that particular amendment.
Okay, are there any further questions on this? Then we'll vote on the amendment first.
Correct.
So, council, all those in favor?
Aye, or
Countermanded? So it's carried. And now we can go on to the motion itself. Moved by Harlan and seconded by Heenan. Any more concerns, council? All right, then we'll take the vote. All those in favor?
aye.
Aye. Contrary minded? Carried unanimously. Thank you, council. And for the next one, I need to go
Nope.
because it.
So,
Oh.
Deputy Mayor, you now need to read the bylaw by title. For third
by
and final
title.
reading. Yes, just the title.
Okay. Oops, thank you. Mr. Knopper. So this is bylaw number 24-02, a bylaw respecting the collection and disposal of solid waste for the town of St. Andrews. Being enacted by the Council of the Town of St. Andrews under the authority vested in it by the Local Governance Act, Chapter 2017 and C.
Deputy Mayor, you just have to read the first title, like the
Oh,
actual title of the
first
bylaw.
title?
Just the first title and then when it was read on what day.
It's read in
So-
for the third reading as of
Third- as of
September
third read-
23rd.
Okay, so
2024.
then all the way over to the third reading, which is September 23rd. The 23rd day of September 2024. This is the third and final reading for this time.
Correct. That's it.
Perfect.
Good.
I'm learning. Thank you, Mr. Knopper. All right, now this is where I exit and the mayor comes back because I need to be excused for the grant request for Truth and Reconciliation, which is September 30th today. This-
All right, council. Thank you. Just let me flip ahead here in the package.
Page 24, your worship.
Well, be Deputy Mayor Akaji's portfolio. So I will, the first person to raise their hand was Councillor Keenan by a landslide. It's yours.
Thank you, worship. Reference number FA 240932, Community Assistant Grant Request for Truth and Reconciliation Day event in St. Andrews. The town of St. Andrews has received a Community Assistant Grant request from Deputy Mayor Kate Akaji, lead organizer of Truth and Reconciliation Day event in St. Andrews on Monday, September the 30th, 2024. The request is for $500 to support the inclusion of a First Nation elder to participate in the event in 2024 and support the inclusion, and awaken drums made in the community over the last couple of years. The goal is to have over 75 drums awakened and played along the solemn walk around Indian Point. Currently, for FYI, the town has $2,600 remaining in the Community Assistant Grant Fund for 2024. And the motion, your worship, is that the council of the town of St. Andrews approves the $500 Community Assistant Grant to support the Truth and Reconciliation Day event on Monday, September the 30th, 2024 at Indian Point. I so move.
Thank you, seconder. Councillor Goodmichelle, discussion? All in favor of this motion, please signify by saying aye. That is everybody that has been carried. We'll let Deputy Mayor return. You, page 31. And the floor is yours. You can hit the ground running.
Thank you, your worship. So this is for FA 240933. And it's a donation request from the Charlotte County Hospital Foundation for the 2024 Radiothon. And the background is this. The town of St. Andrews has received a donation request document from the Charlotte County Hospital Foundation for the 11th annual Radiothon. This year, the CCHF is seeking to raise $75,000 for 3 items. Airvo 3, used for aiding patients breathing when in distress. A portable ultrasound for the emergency department, used for diagnostic purposes in the ED. And fluoroscopy stretcher for ambulatory pain clinic. Specific table used in pain treatment. Please see the attached document for details. In 2023, the town donated $300 to the Radiothon. Council can provide funds from the Community Assistance Grant, as there is currently $3,100 remaining in the budget, or $2,600 remaining if the Truth and Reconciliation Day grant is approved. So the motion is this, that the council of the town of St. Andrews approves a donation of $300 to the Charlotte County Hospital Foundation's 11th annual Radiothon. And I so move this, your worship.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Seconder, I've got Councillor Bennett. Discussion on this one. Same as last year, I think. We gave the same amount, did we not, Mr. Spear, Mr. Knopper? Yeah. All right, all in favor of this motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
That is carried. Great to see. And I know other municipalities across the area also contribute to that. And as well, at the time, I just want to highlight all the funds raised from the Dragon Boat Festival this past weekend went to both the St. John Hospital as well as the Charlotte County Hospital Foundation. I think 28,000 is what I heard. So good,
Wow,
good to see.
fantastic.
And again, I don't know how that's split up, but good to see so much support to both of our local hospitals. Councillor Ware.
Yes, I had a couple comments. Number one, there is a community supper tomorrow night, the Bayside Community Hall, to raise money for the hospital. And I did take in the Dragon Boat Festival. Everyone had a lot of fun. I didn't think the teams got enough recognition for raising money. Some of the teams did an exceptional job. And, you know, some teams didn't do quite so well, but I think there should have been more recognition of the top 3 fundraisers. After all, that's the prime purpose of the event. And it just seemed to be downplayed completely.
Thank you for that. Yeah, I wasn't there at the closing. I was there for the opening and throughout the day. I know they had top prize for the top fundraiser, but I didn't know about the top 3. But you are right. I think almost every team raised $1,000. At least that was the target in order to participate. So great work by the paddling club putting everyone together, but it did take a lot of individual fundraisers. You saw in the community, everything from a car wash to a few draws, but good to see everyone come together across Charlotte County primarily, but there was teams, I guess, all over, some from Nova Scotia too, maybe even, wasn't there? But yeah, it's good to see such a fun day, also be a good cause. So thank you for that, Councillor Ware. Okay. We are past that one. We've already voted on it. So let's go ahead to Councillor Neal. Looks like he's in a position he can read now.
I am. Thank you, Your Worship.
Quite good.
This is reference number PWPS 240906. The subject is the policy P-24-04 derelict vehicles for the town of St. Andrews. The background reads the bylaw number 23-02 dangerous and unsightly premises for the town of St. Andrews outlines derelict vehicles as an issue that can be addressed by bylaw enforcement. However, there is no definition or outline for classifying derelict vehicles. It was recommended that before doing any enforcement associated with derelict vehicles, a policy should be in place to ensure bylaw enforcement as justification for declaring a vehicle derelict. Please see the attached policy document for more details. The policy is like other derelict vehicle policies within New Brunswick and throughout North America associated with dangerous and unsightly premises bylaws. So the motion before us reads that the Council of the Town of St. Andrews approves policy P-24-04 derelict vehicles for the Town of St. Andrews, and I so move.
Thank you. Seconder for this one. Okay, Deputy Mayor Akaji winning that one. Discussion, just a couple for me before we go around to council. For enforcement, it does reference kind of the actual dangerous and unsightly premises bylaw. So say somebody had a vehicle that was sitting and it was deemed that, or multiple vehicles, I should say, that was on the front lawn with no tires sitting there for a year, just for a random example. What would the process be like? Would they have to, just like a building, would they have to have an independent committee that makes a decision if it's unsightly, and then would we tow it away and then we would put a lien on the cost of towing it away on the home? Because that's like, just wondering how this works compared to a building, knowing that process.
So through your worship, very similar. And in fact, actually would start off with an education discussion with the homeowners to see how we could work with them to ensure that whether it's moved, as you can know, move to the back or, you know, out of the front line site. But if it is larger issues and it grows that way, there are steps we would take for notifications, and then eventually to a point where it could be towed away. It could go to committee if they wanted to appeal. So it would still follow the dangerous and unsightly premises bylaw.
Yeah, I'm talking worst case, so it would
Yeah,
follow the same process.
yeah, it would
Okay.
follow the same process, has to.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, all in favor of this motion, please signify by saying aye. That's everybody. Thank you very much, council. And we are now moving ahead to economic development and business and culture. And the first motion is with Councillor Ware.
Reference number EBC 240906. Bylaw number 24-05 BIA bylaw for first reading and call for public hearing of objections. As part of the Downtown Beautification Initiative, St. Andrews Business Improvement Area collects an annual levy from its members to pay for various projects and events. The BIA, established in 1984, is a geographical area between Water Street from Princess Royal Street to Elizabeth Street. All businesses within this area are within the BIA and subject to the annual levy. As per the Business Improvement Act of New Brunswick, the council must set the levy annually by bylaw, which also includes approval of their budget and a public hearing of objections. Please see the attached bylaw and budget for further information. And the first motion is that the council of the town of St. Andrews hereby grants leave for the first reading of bylaw number 24-05, a bylaw of the town of St. Andrews to impose a special business improvement levy for 2025 in the town of St. Andrews. I so move.
And a seconder. Counselor Bennett. Discussion, just quick one, because we haven't had a objection in 5 years or so. Is that why we're doing first reading before the hearing? Because normally yeah, makes sense. Counselor Michelle.
Thank you, Worship. I'm just curious, what if we extended the BIA area beyond Princess Royal and Elizabeth and to include more of the downtown where there's more businesses popping up, or even if it was to include the whole town, how might that affect this bylaw? Question for staff.
So it's two separate bylaws. You have to actually have a bylaw to establish the BIA area. And I can't remember when, but sometime in the last 3 or 4 years, we actually asked the BIA if they wanted to expand it, and they didn't think at the time they did. So we can review it. So we'd probably let this go for this year, then maybe early next year, we can put the question back to the BIA committee to see if they think it'd be worth bringing it up King Street or something.
Would we just ask the BIA or would we ask the chamber at the same time?
Yeah, I believe the act that establishes this says it's really driven by the BIA and not council, that we approve the budget, but really it's all driven by the recommendations of the business improvement area.
Thank you for your answer my question.
Yeah, I know that's been a thing for you. I actually predicted that question.
I hate to be predictable.
Counselor Ware.
Yeah, I just would add a comment. I was on a couple of the original BIAs back in the 1980s, and they were to revitalize downtown areas within the towns that put them in. So they really are applicable. That was the original intent. They'd be applicable to the downtown.
Yeah, and just on that, I am the BIA representative. I think it's been maybe 8 years now. I did bring that Councilor Gomichel's comments forward. They're aware of it, but I think since the core of the businesses are there and it's going very well, I think that they're pretty content on what the boundaries are today.
And through your worship, actually just got an email from one of the BIA members noting that in order for them to expand their geographical area, they actually have to apply to the province and the province has to approve that. So before they can even go anything, they have to go through those steps if they wish to expand it.
So it's not us. Councilor Harlan, do you have still a question? Was it pertaining to that?
Thank you. No, I just support Councillor Gomichel's question and thought process around this. I have wondered, I had the same question last year. I think it is something that as we continue to grow as a town, that we should look at what what the area should be. I recognize and acknowledge that it needs to be the BIA that needs to look at that, but I would encourage them to consider expanding the geographical boundaries of that. Thank you.
The next meeting, I'll bring the comments forward again, and it sounds like somebody from the BIA is also listening in based on Mr. Knopper's comment. Thank you very much, Council. All right, All in favor of going to first reading, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? That's nobody. This is bylaw number 24-05, a bylaw of the town of St. Andrews to impose a special business improvement levy. It was read the first time on the 23rd day of September of 2024. Next motion, Councillor Ware.
That the council of the town of St. Andrews sets the date of Monday, October 21st, 2024 at 6:30 PM at the W.C. O'Neill Arena Complex Council Chambers for public hearing of objections to bylaw 24-05, a bylaw to impose a special business improvement levy for 2024 in the town of St. Andrews. I so move.
Thank you, Councillor Ware. A seconder. I'm looking at the TV, actually. There it is, Councillor Blanchard, double hands. Yes, winner, winner. Okay, all in favor of setting this date for the hearing of objections? Please signify by saying aye. That's everybody that has been set. No better way to celebrate the end of Indulge than be all here together in the council chambers, right? Why are you laughing? All right, so if I'm right with our moving around, that would take us to the end of the motions for this evening. Am I correct? Page, oh, I missed one, did I? I did. This one would be Councillor Blanchard. I already looked ahead to make sure I knew which councillor it was, and I forgot about it already, so. Councillor Blanchard, this one is yours.
Thank you, Worship. Reference number RE 240905. Subject is the Dillon Consulting Greenhouse Gas Reduction Pathway Feasibility Study. The town of St. Andrews was awarded grant funding from the province of New Brunswick and the Federation of Canadian Municipalities to conduct a greenhouse gas reduction pathway feasibility study on 10 municipal facilities, create a plan to get to net zero. In the spring of 2024, the town awarded the RFP for this project to Dillon Consulting. Tonight, council received a presentation from Jake Taylor of Dillon Consulting, providing a review of the final report. Please see the attached document for a copy of the report. This report will be used by staff and council to plan out and budget for improvements to facilities to get to net zero. This report supports council's goals of reducing greenhouse gas emissions and energy consumption by 2036. And the motion before us is that the council of the town of St. Andrews accepts the greenhouse gas reduction pathway feasibility study completed by Dillon Consulting, and I so move.
And again, a seconder. Councillor Neal, it's going to be an all TV move here. The TV has taken over the room. Okay, any discussion on this one? Okay. All in favor of accepting this report, please signify by saying aye. That's everyone that's been accepted. And I will say again, Dillon Consulting, I think, did a wonderful job. It wasn't one of those ones that's 140 pages with 120 of it being fluff. They got right into it. And those charts, there's a lot of information in them and it's a clear plan. So I think it's worth noting that that's probably one of the better ones I've seen actually in a long time. So kudos to them for not doing fluff and getting right down to what we asked. I appreciate it.
Mayor Henderson, just so you know, the digital copy you received is 496 pages.
Oh, I know, but the summary one is exactly
Exactly
what we
you
needed. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we don't usually get it this concise. This is a clear action plan where you don't have to spend a weekend, but yeah, the long one for sure. They have to do that, right? Okay, council, now we're done the motions. So we'll jump back to our agenda and there is nothing under new business. Question period. Anyone in the audience this evening? Not seeing any hands. Anyone online, Mr. Knopper? Anyone on Zoom? It is quiet. Okay, so council, we will go into councilors' comments. Any member of council wish to speak? I was waiting out of respect for Deputy Mayor after, right? Yeah, Councilor Gumichel.
Thank you, Your Worship. Not to be predictable, but took a run along the highway there yesterday. And I'm not going to complain about the deplorable state of the 127. But one thing that I did notice is that the signs, the election signs, have gone up like on either side of the Ghost Road. So right there under the blinking light for safety, that it's a dangerous place. We have all of the election signs, and then again at the other end of the at the other end of the Ghost Road is a place where the election signs have gone up. Also a fairly dangerous intersection. Both of those intersections probably would be enhanced safety wise if they had like a roundabout. Both of those could easily be made safer with roundabouts. And again, here in town, we've got our own spot where all the signs go up. And it also is an intersection just across the street here, which would probably be enhanced in terms of safety by a roundabout. So I just found it kind of remarkable that, you know, the most dangerous intersections around are where the election signs go up. And I thought I'd just point that out as a matter of course, when you're talking to our MLA hopefuls, please bring up the state of the roads and those intersections in particular, especially the blinky light one. Thank you, Worship.
Thank you, Councillor Grimshaw. Councillor Ware.
Was on the bylaw we passed earlier tonight where we said 4 feet instead of 3. I think Councillor Bennett raised a good point on the permanent structures being 3 feet, movable ones 4, because a permanent structure 4 feet high will be very difficult to reach in and get a garbage bag off the bottom. And I know I have the bin that you're referring to. I have to tip it down to get a garbage bag out, and so does the garbage collector. They can't reach in and get that. You just pull it over on the side and pull them out. So I think before we put that in stone, we should consider, you know, maybe 3 feet was right for permanent structures.
I think this is the one I had a conflict of interest on. Yeah, so over to Deputy Mayor Ackergy, I guess, on this one. If you want to discuss it again, I should probably recuse myself to be consistent.
Well, I'm just bringing it up maybe before we
Yeah.
set it in stone.
Well, it's already gone through third reading, but
it's-
we'll go and do some measurements and we can amend if we feel it's got a issue. But thank you. I understand what you're saying.
It would probably need unanimous council to bring it back. Is that correct? Since it's been within 6 months, just for policy? Yeah, but it's possible. Thank you. Councilor Ware.
The other comment is on 127. There's no doubt we have virtually no representation as far as the highways go. We could call our member's office every day and nothing happens. Some of us have been working on it a bit, cutting bushes on some intersections. You think the Ghost Road intersection is dangerous. Try coming out where number 3, where the Port Road comes out, and you virtually have to have the front of your vehicle over the pavement before you can see if there's something coming. And going back that road, it's like going back Glebe Road. You know, it's a provincial highway, and it's mind-boggling. Bushes are a good 2 or 3 feet in over the pavement, and it's a disgrace. I don't know what the answer to it is, unless we can get a member that will scream and yell at the minister of DTI. I don't know what the answer is.
Can I pop in there? I was thinking maybe we could have a contest for the worst roads around and we'd win hands down. We know.
I'll tell you though, straight up that just being around other mayors is they're all saying the same thing. It's actually a provincial problem, at least in southern New Brunswick. I don't get to spend as much time with northern, but in southern New Brunswick, if you talk to Denny Cogswell or John Craig, they have a list too. The reality is a lot of money's going out and I question the service level that we're getting back, right? So we're not alone, just to be perfectly clear. Part of the problem with taking over the Coastal Link Trail, there was multiple when they were looking at the RSC to do it. One of them is the fact that roads and road shoulders are an important part of it. And multiple mayors said, I'm not comfortable because of the condition of the road shoulders that we have. So frustrating to say the least. And hopefully when this provincial election's behind us, we can sit down with whoever is the successful you know, whether it be the current government or the next government, and see if we can't make this a little bit more transparent. I was a little disappointed the UMNB schedule. I didn't really see anything that would be very relevant to this because it would have been a good opportunity. A lot of the stuff on housing and things that we've seen before, but a couple of things like policing and this issue, unfortunately, weren't on the schedule. Councillor Ware.
I did, through Mr. Spear, submit a motion that they put it on the agenda. And we were a little bit optimistic it might move ahead, but guess they decided it was not.
There's an active
important.
one, I believe, right now, isn't
Yeah,
it already?
and there's actually a meeting during UMNB where they call them zone meetings, so even the councils of you know, this region could still get together, come up with motions to present on Sunday, like kind of a last minute. So it was submitted on your behalf, and but if it didn't make that, we can bring it forward at that point.
Regional meeting on the Friday or Saturday?
I thought it was on the Saturday afternoon. I think I was
Okay,
just looking.
I'll
Yeah.
be there. Okay, I'll be there. I'll bring it up at that one because again, I think there's an active motion though on that one. I'm pretty confident. I think I saw it in the annual report, but yeah, thank you on that. It's a frustrating point for sure, and we do reform, and it's like we did partial reform because that's not part of our it's part of our community, but not part of our community because we have no control and the money is leaving our community. So, anyone else? Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Worship. Welcome to the NBCC students that are here. And thank you, Council, for supporting Truth and Reconciliation Day. It'll be September 30th, and it'll be on Indian Point. And we will start between 6 and 6:30 because we're going to try and get every drum that we made before. So if you made a drum, even if you have a drum that you would like awoken, we will be having knowledge keeper and drummer of the grandmother drum, Greg Mansfield, coming that day. And that's what we asked the funding for, is to pay for his expenses to come. He's going to bring the grandmother drum. So bring your drum that you wish to have awoken that day and blessed, because he will do that. And then we will do our same gathering with Judith Moses and myself and others who help out. I'd like to thank Mr. Knopper. He's been, and his wife, his companion, have been there and helped out by setting up tables and stuff. And
No pressure, Mr. Knopper.
no, and the sound system will be better this year, I'm told. So I'm looking forward to that day. I'm doing a lot of presentations and whatnot in the area at schools, the Charlotte County Multicultural Association, and to the Volunteer Center in St. George have asked for more information on Truth and Reconciliation. I found that I was shocked because there were still people who didn't know about Truth and Reconciliation, and it shocks me because we've been doing this for at least 4 or 5 years. Even through COVID, we had one. So to me, I was shocked to hear nobody knew. They didn't know about residential schools. Mind you, some of them were Americans, and we didn't, in the United States, there weren't residential schools. It was, the 60s scoop. So it's a little different, but the schools in our area we've talked about, and they were amazed that they're so close to us, like Sussex Vale School and Shubenacadie in Nova Scotia. But I was shocked that they didn't know much about it, but I certainly changed their visions and what happened. And then we talked about the mass graves. They hadn't even heard about that. So on the 30th, I would ask everybody to wear an orange t-shirt on behalf of Phyllis Webstad, who was a residential school survivor and lost her orange shirt. And then later on, it became the telltale sign of our Orange T-shirt Day, which then became Truth and Reconciliation Day. So please come out. Please join us for honoring the residential schools children and the survivors and for the people that are there. I think you will thoroughly enjoy that day, that evening of being together. It's powerful, and I would ask that you all come out. Thank you very much, Your Honor, for giving me the opportunity to talk about it. Thanks, Council, for all your support, because you do support myself and others in the Indigenous things we try to do. And we are trying to work on getting a workshop again for drums, because I've been asked that there were some people that missed out, and for making rattles, and Greg will come back to do that. Thank you, Your Worship.
Well, thank you,
And
Deputy-
Council.
Thank you to you, Deputy Mayor, for organizing that and your leadership on that. It is one of the largest gatherings in the province, I believe, if not the largest. So thank you for all that you do to make that possible for our community to reflect. And always a good reminder to say when you are doing the walk, I know there'll be some drums, but it is supposed to be a walk of silence. I know that some people, it was a bit better last year, but some people use it as kind of a walk and talk. And, talking is important because that usually, it's the topic that it should be, but just a reminder that it is supposed to be a silent walk. But it is great for everyone to participate, and thank you again for all that you do for that.
You're welcome. I don't think with 70 drums, you're going to be able to.
No, I don't think it'll be quite the same, but that's good. That'll be fun. So thank you for that. Okay, council, I'll be looking for a motion at 8:11 PM to go into closed session as per Local Governance Act, Section 68(1)F, which is information concerning legal opinions or advice provided to the local government by its solicitor or privileged communications between solicitor and client in a matter of local government business. I've got Councillor Bennett and I've got Councillor Gumashell, all in favor of going to closed. Thank you very much. Thank you for all for watching tonight, and we'll give a moment for technology to end. At 8:46 PM, we'll be looking for a motion to come out of closed session. Councillor Gumashell, seconded by Councillor Heenan, all in favor of coming out of closed session. That's everybody. I'll be looking for a motion to adjourn. Deputy Mayor Akji, and I missed Councillor Ware by a second last time. Would you like to do a seconder to adjourn? Councillor Ware, just because I just missed you by a second to the left, I was looking right. All in favor of adjourning, please signify by saying aye. We're adjourned. Thank you, council.